So what's good, everybody? Welcome back. I'm just going to basically be doing my weekly review. So I'm going to do a weekly breakdown. So I'm going to go through my weekly review, which I'll do here on TradeZella. I'm then going to break down my best trade of the week, the worst trade of the week, the trades that I took personally. And then if I have enough time, I will do a weekly outlook at the end of this video as well. So obviously plenty of value coming up. So obviously make sure you stick around. So let's first of all start off with my weekly review. As you can see here, 2 trades this week, 2 break-evens, pretty much. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through them now. If we come here to, I believe it's on the notebook, weekly outlooks, here we go, new note. Not weekly outlooks, weekly breakdown, here we go. That's the one. Right, so let's label it March week 2. March week 2, right? There we go. So basically what was my 1 hour read is if I pull up the charts over here now, there we go. From a 1 hour standpoint, obviously coming into the week, just make sure that's the right Monday. Yeah, I was more or less looking obviously for price to come up, take out this 4 hour retest that we had here. And then obviously I was gauging, are we going to continue higher, push through this point, or could we then reverse from that point? We ended up obviously seeing confirmations from this point, and we then moved lower. And to be honest, from a higher time frame outlook, like from the 1 hour standpoint, I'm pretty happy with my read. Obviously, we're coming off this inducement point here. I expected that to then provide that next leg. There was a very high probability buy on Monday. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it, but yeah, that was like super high probability. And then Tuesday, more or less sat on my hands, just wanted to see what was going to occur around this decisional. Are we going to confirm it that we're going to continue lower, or are we going to push through that point? Obviously, again, waiting for confirmations on what is going to happen at this decisional. 15-minute structure then shifts bearish, and we get a liquidity cycle play out. And from that point there, pretty much just shorts for the rest of the week down to this week low over here to the left. On EU, is we pretty much had, where's Monday? Monday here. So we saw this break basically Sunday night, early hours of Monday morning. However, on the 1 hour, it wasn't actually confirmed. So again, that then, because considering we were trading from a non-confirmed break, we was just looking to follow this structure all the way up to this high. Then again, what's going to now occur at this high? Because obviously this high here is now an inducement point as well. So are we going to sweep it, push lower, or are we just going to literally break through it since it technically is a weak high since this break was never confirmed? What ended up happening, obviously, get an inducement of that high, push into a smart money trap, come up, induce again, and then that smart money trap ends up failing. And then from that point, the same liquidity cycle that happened on GU played out on EU, liquidity cycle, and then bearish structure all the way down to this week low here. So yeah, that's pretty much my 1 hour read, and I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm not going to write all that out now because that's just too boring for you guys to watch. But I will obviously add all that in my own time. From a 4 hour read, again, a pretty similar case. If we start with GU, obviously here's that retest. That is the point I was expecting to fail. Just ignore them markers. They're just the 2 high probability trades of the week. Obviously Monday, push this SMT, induces this low, push up straight into the decisional of that break. That retest confirms that break. And then we come into decisional, no confirmation that this decisional is going to fail. We then get bearish liquidity cycle out and obviously run straight down to this week low. Exactly what you would expect to happen, right? On EU, this is obviously your 4 hour low. That 1 hour there, that 1 hour high that gets swept, it actually ends up being 4 hour retest as well. Now, it's not as clean as GU was by any means, but we end up inducing that retest. So that would be your major inducement as well as a sweep. We induce, then get another inducement and just literally run straight down to the low. There's really not much more to wrap up than that, and that's pretty much the correct read throughout the whole week. Looking back, I wouldn't read anything differently to that because that was pretty much perfect. From a weekly standpoint, obviously, was my weekly outlook correct? Given weekly context, we're coming out of the decisional area. This calls daily and 4 hour major inducement. The daily remains bullish, and so does the 4 hour, and the 4 hour could easily flip bearish depending on what occurs next. So there's 2 possibilities. It either breaks lower and takes out previous week high. I think I was meant to put previous week low here, and confirms the 1 hour break. If we see this, then it's also confirmed the 4 hour break, which is obviously what ended up happening. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. Look, shorts make sense to start the week. We then obviously, like I say, 1 hour structure wasn't confirmed, so buys made sense from that point. And then after that, liquidity cycle played out, shorts become valid. From GU standpoint, on the weekly time frame, given daily and 4 hour major inducement, we saw a reaction to that. It then got confirmed as a 4 hour break, which was obviously the break and retest. The 4 hour structure is now bearish on GU, and we can look for shorts as a longer term play. As it stands within the medium time frame complex pullback stage, 1 hour structure is bearish, and internally we're bullish. So we can continue looking for longs until the 4 hour SMT had failed, and look for shorts towards the back end of the week as that longer term play. So again, weekly outlook was pretty much spot on, right? So yeah, pretty happy with this week. If we now we can just take a look at the A+ setups of this week on GU. If we have a look here, this is entry 1. Now this one, obviously I was actually on the charts at the time, but I didn't catch it. Because obviously I'm still learning this new system, and in all honesty, I was a little bit hesitant on what trades on it, basically if this was valid to take or not. Turns out it was, right? So let's break it down. Obviously coming in 1 minute, we mitigate. Actually, let's go bring it back from higher time frame standpoint. Obviously you understand weekly sort of like perspective here, right? But from a 15-minute understanding, we're coming off this inducement point. That makes this area a smart money trap. Come into this smart money trap, we've got a new week opening gap above as well, which can draw price higher. We then mitigate decisional, so you're already starting to see possible liquidity cycle play out internally, so that's now signaling longs. And then from a 1 minute standpoint, we see our confirmations, and then basically at this point of SMT here failing, that would normally be my invalidation point. So I didn't end up executing this trade, but it was actually valid to set off of this imbalance, basically given overall context. And then we could have just gone to break even once this point above had failed. And then we can just target. Initially, I was looking to target a more conservative option of this week high here. But obviously, if we play this out, what you're going to see is it is actually valid to... This runs to this high very nicely. But it ends up being actually valid to basically trade through that new week, opening gap, targeting the high. You could have partialed that at 3R. If you really wanted to, you could even have targeted this 15-minute high. You're getting your confirmations that we're going to continue long. But it is just quite a big move. Complex pullback stages, you wouldn't tend to swing them trades either. So I didn't expect this whole move to play out on Monday. But obviously, I'll journal that, move it on to the next. So Monday ended up being a no trading day for me. That is entry 2. Let's just play through to entry 2. It would have been on Wednesday. So actually, let's select day Wednesday here. There we go. So it was in London session, I believe. Maybe New York. Looks like it might have actually... Yeah, it was in New York, the second entry. So, obviously, coming into that 4-hour decisional that we already spoke about, 15-minute structure breaks, gets confirmed as a break. We then mitigate the extreme of that leg, come down, give another 15-minute break, which gets confirmed as well. And then we come into this smart money trap, which is the old decisional of this 15-minute range here. So it still holds some weight. We can expect a reaction off of that. So I'm looking for a medium inducement out of this point, which we get pretty much here. Then looking for confirmations that we're going to continue short from there. Once I see them confirmations, then we're looking to obviously just sell from that point. Get entries in here. Get our entry in here. And then we can pretty much swing that now all the way to where we currently are, which is this week 1 hour low, because we've already had our confirmation double break that we're going to continue towards this low now. So yeah, could have partialed that 3R and basically held the rest for the rest of the week for 11.7R. But I didn't end up catching that. I was actually too impatient, and I ended up taking this position here. Very shit trade with divergence in here. Luckily enough, I got away with break even. That was Wednesday's trade that you saw. But yeah, for me, I should have been. This was part of my initial plan. I wanted to see price come into here, push there, but then I just got too aggressive, too impatient, and ultimately it cost me the trade of the week. But yeah, that's that one. If we take a look now at apologies, let's see what else we've got to walk through. Break down my worst trade of the week. To be honest, I'll do that in TradeZella. That would have been Thursday's trade, which was this one here. It's actually green, but yeah, very shit trade. I was very emotional coming into the day just due to things going on outside of trading. And I pretty much up here, right, there was a medium inducement. Then wanted to see that medium inducement and catch shorts up here. And EU had actually given a very similar entry, but I missed EU. So again, that's now playing in my head. I should have been focused on EU, blah, blah, blah. Then eventually, I just fumbled and I was just like, right, looks like there's something here. We could be going short. Let me just take a stupid trade in here on GU, purely out of FOMO, purely out of emotion. And yeah, as you can see, I did end up closing out pretty much a break even. I more or less just took a few deep breaths, said to myself, what are your reasons for entering this trade? I looked at it and I was like, what was I even seeing? Like, I don't understand why I've taken this trade. And even looking back now, besides that medium inducement that occurred up here, I'm looking at this and I'm like, where the hell is the confirmation that we're going to continue lower? I really see nothing. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Like, this is the 1 minute time frame and I genuinely have no clue what I was even looking at on this trade. So that's arguably the worst trade of the week for me. But yeah, got the systems in place, which I will basically put in my TradeZella here. So if we go to the notebook, I'm going to create a separate thingy here, whatever this is, a separate folder. I'm just going to have basically list out all my systems in there, rewrite all of these out, because these could probably be a bit more optimized. And I'm going to do that. And then, yeah, maybe I can readjust some parts of the plan there as well, to obviously fit the lessons that I've taken this week. Review all my trades. Well, I've basically done that already. Obviously, Wednesday's trade. Oh, that's a test. We don't want that. Wednesday's trade here. We know that was, again, pretty much based on FOMO. That seems to be my biggest issue at the moment. So yeah, that's not really something that I'm going to be too focused on. Or like, I basically put the systems in place to now go forward to ensure my FOMO doesn't like keep hitting me like this, because that at the end of the day, it's cost me one good trade this week, and then hesitation cost me the other one. But I've rectified the hesitation issue. Just need to sort out that FOMO, because both of these could have ended quite badly, and I could have ended up down another 2% this week. But yeah, that is that. And then my weekly outlook. So let's just have a quick look through what I can expect this coming week. More or less, let's look at the 15, understand where we are on GU, just taking out 15-minute low. Has that been confirmed as a 1 hour break? Yep, okay, so that's a confirmed 1 hour break. So now, pretty much, where's my next higher time frame level? Daily, maybe? You could argue, is that possibly something? Maybe if we induce this low here, then maybe that can provide the pullback for the 15-minute. So yeah, I probably, or maybe even if we just hold in this point here, that could then provide the pullback that we need on the 15-minute or 1 hour. That will essentially create some structure for us to work with. So yeah, I mean, or we can just wait for that point to fail, get off the inducement of that. That provides us then with the pullback that we can see on the 1 hour, and then up until that, and then we can obviously just trade that pullback for the week. But yeah, overall, just expecting this pullback to continue. I want to see some 15-minute structure created. trade that pullback of the 1 hour for the week, more or less. And then for now, continue shorting until basically either that inducement or until we basically see 15-minute is coming bullish. Or 15-minute internal is coming bullish, should I say. And then we can possibly look for some counter trend trades following that internal structure. On EU, again, it's going to be a relatively simple case of pretty much the same thing. We've taken out 1 hour. We can now expect a pullback. EU hasn't given us as much to work with. Like, EU hasn't really confirmed the 1 hour break either. So for me, you could still be viewing, despite all of this price action lower, could still be viewing this as a very false 1 hour leg, and that we could actually come higher, which would make sense given 4 hour structure cycle. But yeah, obviously anything can pretty much happen. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't focus too heavily on that right now. It's not playing a massive part for us at this stage. Obviously, that can still be confirmed at some point, but it's just at the moment it's not being confirmed. Right, so then 4 hour wise, where's my next higher time frame level? We have actually seen this daily low go now, which I expected anyway following this inducement, and then obviously just move down out of this decisional point. We expected that daily internal to shift bearish. So obviously this is our swing low here on the daily. So we kind of expected that to be the case. And they could very easily shift from this point. So again, yeah, look, this is now a break. Who knows? It can just continue to melt off. It can do pretty much whatever it likes at this point. There's not too much in the way here to even push price back up. This isn't a valid area. Your next valid area is probably this point here. But are we going to see that massive sell-off all the way down to there? Likely not. So you just got to pay attention to what structure is telling you when the liquidity cycles start to come in. And then basically how we can then get long from the idea of that. So that's more or less what I'm looking at. Continue looking for shorts on EU for now. This 15-minute break here has been confirmed very poorly, but it has been confirmed. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Continue looking for shorts on EU and GU until structure begins to tell us otherwise. And then yeah, that is the end of this video, I suppose. Wrapping it up on that. So yeah, obviously don't forget to like and subscribe, and then I'll see you all next week.